gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ferguson, thank you for being here. What criteria does NICS use to determine whether an individual is prohibited from purchasing a firearm?
So the National Institute Background Check System searches 3 databases. We search III, NCIC, and the NICS indices to determine if a person is prohibited from purchasing a firearm.
So what is III?
III is the Interstate Identification Index, and I apologize, that is the criminal history index that is maintained within the Next Generation Identification System.
I got you. So how often are denials reviewed to ensure accuracy and fairness?
I'm sorry, sir.
How often are the denials reviewed to ensure accuracy and fairness?
How
often are the denials reviewed? Sorry, maybe a subject.
How often do over the course of fiscal year 24, we had approximately 10,000 requests for a review of denials. And excuse me, let me make sure that I have the numbers right on that. 18,000 was the number, 18,500 requests for review on denials. Out of those, 10,000 were sustained, and approximately 3,000 were overturned.
Okay, of the 116,578 denials in 2023, how many denials involved confirmed criminal activity versus administrative or technical errors?
For the 2023 numbers, I don't have that in front of me, but I can get a report for you, sir.
Any idea what percent maybe were technical errors or possible administrative issues?
Across the board for the years past, we've had a very small percentage of those because, as you're aware, the background check is a biographic search, and so there are occasions where there will be matching numbers or somewhat close numbers for Social Security numbers or names that will be a match, and so there'll be a denial based on that process.
So what steps are taken to address the wrongful denials and to clear individuals that may be unjustly flagged?
So I think we're very adamant that we need to make sure that we are working with providing that customer service and that value to those individuals who have been denied. We work every single day, generally speaking, with individuals who contact us. We have a tip line that they can call and talk to us about a denial, and then we'll walk them through the process to where we give them what we call the voluntary appeals file. So we'll give them a PIN. So in the event that this ever happens in the future, they'll have a PIN so they can give the PIN to the federal firearms licensee so that they will not be denied anymore, unless there's obviously another issue down the road.
So how do you ensure that law-abiding citizens are not improperly denied their Second Amendment rights?
We continue to, we have a quality assurance program that we use within the NICS section to make sure that we're getting it right. So we take a sampling of all of the transactions that come in, and we have a pretty robust QA program that looks at that. And what we do is if we find discrepancies, we'll work with the individuals who have attempted to purchase a firearm to get them through that discrepancy. We also learn from that. We use that for our training to train our people to make sure that we're getting it right. And I'm very proud of the fact that over the last 35 months, actually, we have hit our immediate determination rate of 90% or better over the last 35 months. And what that means is within the first 15 to 30 minutes of a person standing at a gun counter, over 90% of the time we're able to make an adjudication right there at that moment and allow them to either purchase if they're not prohibited or deny it if it's a prohibited person.
What happens if you don't make the adjudication within the 30 minutes while they're waiting there at their Ace Hardware or whatever it is to buy a shotgun? What happens?
So generally speaking, what happens is the remainder of those will be transferred over to the NICS section where we have legal instruments examiners who are looking at those as they're coming in. We adjudicate the majority of those within 30 minutes of receiving those if we can. And then the remainder of those may be delayed because we have to try to get some more records. One of the issues we're having in a lot of different states is we'll have dispositions that aren't entered into the system. So we'll see a person that's been arrested for a particular crime that may be prohibiting, but there's no disposition, so we're not really sure if that person is prohibited or not. So what we're having to do, that's an example. So what we're having to do at that point is we have to delay, and then we have to contact that law enforcement agency or court system and request those records to make sure that the person is lawfully able to purchase a firearm.
My understanding is if you don't get an answer within 3 days, they're required to sell you the firearm. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. According to the provisions of the Brady Handgun Act.
Okay.
They're authorized to, the FFLs are allowed to, yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back. Thank you.